You couldn't have been more than 6 feet tall, maybe even shorter, but in the eyes of your grandson, you were a giant. Growing up, as far as I can remember, you always entered rooms with this prestige. No matter where we were or when you arrived, all of the attention focused on you. You were always guest of honor, always patiently waited for as if we were expecting a superhero sighting, and when you came in, you were the pinnacle of respect. There was no doubt in any of our minds that we could look to you and find greatness. The roots of this family tree dig deeply into the soil with so many layers and so many levels, every single person having their own story, their own life. But as far as I'm concerned, all trails led back to you. Now don't get me wrong. Granny was the glue, and there's no doubt in my mind that we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't live with the same kind of love, we wouldn't talk with the same kind of care, we wouldn't see with the same kind of affection if it wasn't for her. She holds us together, she held us together then, and she does so now. But you are the rock. Every home, to be successful and to stay sturdy, to withstand the length of time, must be built upon a sturdy foundation, and you are that foundation. You and Granny Alice gifted this world with 9 children, and from their stories came ours, and from our stories we will always find you. In every page you can look back at the work that we do and realize that your footsteps echo through us. No matter where our stories take us, we know that we came from someone sturdy. Someone secure, you. A soldier turned a farm man, a man who needed nothing more than simple pleasures, some land, some work, some livestock, his 2 farm dogs, his loving wife, and his family. These were the things that you loved. Your advice always radiated beyond the norm. Not just like do good in school or stay out of trouble, but instead you taught me how to be kind to people. You taught me how to stand up for myself. You taught me how to walk straight, upright, and with a smile that resembled confidence, to love everyone around me as if they were family members themselves. I'll never forget when you said, and I quote, "Don't worry about being tough. Worry about being sweet." By doing this, you shattered the false notion that we men should lead with our fists instead of our hearts, and instead, you taught me to take pride in my soul, to share my love with those around me, to share it with those I meet, to share it with those I may possibly build a future life with. That taught me that society's image of toughness isn't important. In fact, it's irrelevant, and instead, toughness is shown in the way you treat other people. You taught me that to be a man doesn't mean to be mean, doesn't mean to be hard or cruel, but instead to be warm. To be warm and to be compassionate. They say you can tell a lot about a man by the way he treats the things around him, and one of my earliest memories ever of you was that you kept a birdhouse in the backyard. Yet you didn't own any birds. Instead, you just provided a home for those around to come and visit, to come and eat, to come and stay, and then fly away whenever they deemed necessary. All you did was provide a safe place for something to return home to. And even now, on the last day I get to enjoy the blessing of hearing your voice, one of your biggest concerns was, have we set out the food for the hummingbirds? You had a glimmer in your eye, the type of glimmer that could never fade, and you made sure that we had everything prepared for those hummingbirds, knowing that they would return to the sanctuary they found at your doorstep like they always have. That's what was important. I remember when I was younger, not even half the height of your tractor tires, and you told me to climb on, teaching me then that no object will ever be bigger than the things I'm capable of doing. On your farm, you told me to build my fort, and I did. All I needed was a few scraps of wood, some rocks to hammer them into the ground with, and that became my kingdom. And although it turned out to look a lot more like a broken fence than a fort, I showed it off with pride. Not knowing then, but realizing now that you should always work towards something you're proud of. And by doing so, you will always be satisfied. You told my father that you wanted me to have your watch. The watch that you wore for decades, that looks as pristine as it can be. And I couldn't help but get goosebumps when I slid it onto my wrist, deciding at that very moment that I would never use it as an everyday timepiece, but instead put it on display as a reminder to appreciate the fact that every second, every minute, every hour, every day that passes by is one to appreciate endlessly, for it was never promised in the first place. Now, I don't think anything will ever feel as good as sitting at your feet, laughing at the stories you told with the rest of the family, the cousins in the audience, eagerly waiting for the next gem of a tale to fall out of your mouth. You always seemed to say the right thing. Your jokes were the richest, your stories the most entertaining, and your reflections were drowned in beauty. Whenever you told me, "I'm proud of you," it was like your words became a warm hug to forever remind me that everything was going to be okay, and no matter how much rejection I could face on a day-to-day basis, I was still destined for something greater than this planet has to offer, and if I was just patient, I could rejoice in the life I've only dreamed of living. I left your bedside, tears seeking refuge in my eyes, having said, "I love you," realizing that those words that seemed like the most powerful in the English language, still couldn't cover a fraction of the depth of the feelings that I would have liked to have shared with you. But one of the last things you said to me was, "I'm ready to be with Granny Alice. That's where I'm supposed to be now." And there's no doubt in my mind that she's ready for you too. Waiting, fixing her hair, and checking her smile, excited to see you arrive, as handsome and charming as you were the day you two first met. And I know we'll say goodbye with smiles in our hearts and tears in our eyes, knowing that you're where you wanted to be, and I'm sure we'll see you again. But until then, just know, we miss you. We love you. And whenever the hummingbirds sing, I'll look up, and I'll know then that you're still here.